Long walk, teeny talks. Long walk, teeny talks. Long walk, teeny talks. Long walk, teeny talks. Yeah!
Welcome back to Long Walk Teeny Talks. My name is David Hensley. I'm the owner and creative director of Long Walk Productions, and I am joined today by my beautiful wife, Katie. How are you, Katie?
I'm doing great. If you're listening to this in the future, it's the week after Halloween. Oh Lord, Thanksgiving. Time is a construct, but I think we're both still living off the amount of food that we ate this past week.
Yes, we had a delicious Thanksgiving dinner.
We did.
Yeah, so Katie, what are we talking about today as we sit here and try to stay awake?
Yeah. I've since the pandemic really got hot and heavy, I've only been wearing stretchy pants, but now I'm starting to stretch out my stretchy pants. Today I thought, it being into the even more into the holiday season, we would be so inclined to evaluate and to discuss the toys that made us. So as an inspiration from the Netflix series that goes through a lot of the iconic nostalgic toy franchises, which I highly recommend if you haven't watched it, to go ahead and give it a watch because it's highly entertaining. But I thought, taking inspiration from that concept and figuring out which top 5 toys are nostalgic to us as 90s kids.
Toy brands or specific, like one specific thing?
I did toy brands.
Okay, yeah, that's what I...
Because I had a handful of, I couldn't just... I know which ones I had of the brands, but I'm not just married to one, I don't think.
Okay.
One specific product.
Do you want to start us off?
Sure. Well, to top it and really get hot and heavy and come out of the gate swinging, Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
But I had Barbies for as long as I can remember. I was never a huge baby doll gal. I needed a Barbie and friends and lots of different situations and accessories and professions and
houses
and I think my favorite Barbie that I can recall playing with a lot was a gymnastics Barbie, because her knees and arms actually moved and she could do a cartwheel and she had flat feet. She didn't have pointed feet just to wear high heels. So, representation matters. I have real flat feet, so I was excited to see a Barbie also have flat feet. But yeah, I'll come out of the gate swinging and say all the Barbie products and just how they've adapted over time to be a little more inclusive to people that have different body shapes and different abilities.
Very nice. Well, my first one that I got to go with is so quintessentially 90s. I'm not sure how I forgot about it at first, but it's Power Rangers.
Oh my God, Power Rangers is on mine too.
Yep.
Yay!
Starting in the early 90s, you had to have an action figure of each Ranger, and then every season they would change up the characters and what their outfits were, and the Megazords and the villains, and this will be an ongoing thing throughout mine, but these toy companies really knew how to make you keep buying what was essentially the same thing.
That's true. I remember I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers, and especially wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers with my brother, because my brother is about 5.5 years older than I am, and he loved to beat the hell out of me in any given moment. He needed a little brother that was a little, had a little bit more of a thicker skin than I did, because I just wanted to play with Barbies and pretend, and he wanted to throw me around the house by my legs. So we weren't technically allowed to watch Power Rangers, but everybody at school was always talking about it. So I begged Mom and Dad for at least the Pink Ranger, at least. So you had all of them?
Oh yeah. Of the original 5 and their Megazords, yeah. And then a handful of the villains that came out. And then I still, as it went on, I would get a few of the new team members and stuff, but those first 5 are just so iconic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No matter, and if I recall, the ones that I had like their Megazord shape was also their helmet too. So that was always really cool because Trini, the Yellow Ranger, had little cat point ears, if I recall that correctly. I really wanted the Red Ranger, but that was a big ask.
Aw.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But they were cool too because their hands, like they had grippy hands, like their hands actually closed around their
weapons.
I almost said tools.
I mean, weapons are tools, technically.
Yeah, I go back and it's still on too. Power Rangers is still on.
Yeah, 30 years later almost.
Isn't that insane?
Well, it's because they had, they had so many of the Japanese shows that all they were doing really was recording new live action segments with American actors and then splicing those into the Japanese episodes.
The day I figured that out, I was way too old when I figured that out. I was like about to graduate college. I was like, nuh-uh. Oh boy.
Nice. What's your next one?
My next one, I think it is Teddy Ruxpin. My mom almost got in a fight at the mall. It was like Patrick's generation of Tickle Me Elmo. Like everybody was so obsessed with this Teddy Ruxpin doll, only because it was animatronic. It was something of Disney-like proportions to have an animatronic tape-playing teddy bear. Mm-hmm. And so I inherited from Patrick when he got a little too old to have an interest in it, and I always shoved my finger in his mouth as it was talking. So it would be telling me a story and then be like, rah, 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 rah. And I'm like, yeah.
Was not... What a shocking swerve that story took.
What? I mean, what kid didn't do that? You didn't have a Teddy Ruxpin you shoved your fingers into?
No.
Well, you just aren't living, I don't suppose.
Apparently. No, I guess not.
What were you thinking I was going to say?
I just was not expecting, and I would stick my finger in its mouth while it was telling me a story to be the next part of that sentence.
I'd always get my hand caught in the trap door of its back, too, putting the tape in. That always sucked. It was hard to get that tape in and out there.
That was a journey we just went on
what?
together.
I don't understand why that's so weird.
It's not. No, it's not weird. It was not, again, I was not expecting that.
I didn't think it was much of a segue either.
No.
Like, okay, what's yours?
Okay, so...
I'm going to buy you a Teddy Ruxpin so you can feel the joy of sticking your hand in its mouth.
Sentences I never thought I would hear from anybody.
And when it took like 14 double D batteries or something insane. Like, it's a miracle it just didn't blow up in your hand. But like, whenever it would like drain the battery, it would get real scary.
And then
and it would be like, oh God, I don't want you to speak to me anymore.
So you stick your whole fist in its mouth?
Yeah, so you just punch it until it dies.
Oh God. Wow. Okay. Well, my next one is one that I was way too young for, but that's an ongoing theme of my life. Spawn.
Just an action figure of Spawn?
Well, the live action movie came out in 96 or 97, and I went and saw it, and then I got into the comic books, which I was way too young to be reading.
Uh-oh.
But at the time, McFarlane Toys was putting out as many Spawn action figures as they could and as many variations of the Spawn character. And I am old enough to remember when McFarlane action figures actually moved and came with cool accessories and had gimmicks like expanding capes and stuff like that. Because as time went on, McFarlane Toys gradually just started making statues instead. Like you might be lucky if their arms moved up and down, but essentially they were statues instead of action figures. But yeah, that was also a big part of my childhood. Demon from hell and all his evil villains.
So, and for anybody that doesn't know you on a personal level, and or maybe listening for the very first time, you are a enormous action figure collector.
I am, yeah. I'm in my 30s. I still collect action figures.
Yep. Which is, I mean, is still a very hot commodity. It's still very popular. So,
yeah, I'm really grateful to the internet for making me feel not alone in my adult toy collecting. Because when I finally joined Reddit, I joined several like Star Wars Black Series, Marvel Legends, a couple different forums, and I'm like, okay, yeah, there are more people like me out there.
Yeah. I just, you know. I have no idea what to buy you anymore, so I just kind of shake a action figure in your face and am like, this one, this. So he's looped me in now. So every time I go to Target or a department store, I have to go down the toy aisle. I'll be completely alone. We have 0 children, and take a picture of like what Marvel Legends they have, just because I have no idea how many or what you have anymore.
That's one of the advantages of being my age now, is because like when I was in my early 20s and I would go down the toy aisle, I would get weird looks like, well, what is this fucking man-child doing? But now people can just look at me and assume that I probably have a kid that I'm shopping for.
Yeah.
And if they ask, I'll be like, yeah, I'm definitely shopping for little Timmy.
Well, you know, you say that, but there's somebody in this town that if anything new gets released, they are at the store on stocking day or, you know, restock day, and they are buying like multiples of the same action figure to turn around and sell them at a con for twice as much.
Yeah, fucking scalpers.
It's a racket.
It is.
Anywho.
Yeah. So what's your next one?
Well, I don't know how I'm going to top Teddy Ruxpin. That really,
That tickled me.
It sure did. You know, it's an easy one, and inducted into the International Toy Hall of Fame is Play-Doh.
Aw, nice.
I loved Play-Doh.
Nice.
I still love Play-Doh. Like when I was a nanny, that was one of my favorite activities to do with kids. Just because like you're able to show them like how you can press a newspaper into, or no, that's Silly Putty, sorry. But you can press it into shapes and, you know, make a really cool, I don't know, snake and a snowman. And it was just fun to eat.
Good.
Well, I never ate it, but like they made so many play sets that were like, it looked like soft serve ice cream.
Right.
Like the one that I recall is the McDonald's set. So you can make little chicky nuggies, you could make French fries and milkshakes, and what kid didn't want to just consume all of that?
I didn't have a whole lot of Play-Doh, but I might be remembering this completely wrong, but it smelled good too, didn't it?
It did. It's kind of like this salty, like, and you can make it at home. It's not like it's a mystery recipe or anything like that, but it has a very distinct smell, and it's good. It's a good smell.
It's the perfect storm for children to make them want to eat it.
Yeah, and they had to come out with a whole campaign slogan that says, "Fun to play with, not to eat." Getting a lot of lawsuits, but yeah, I always hated when my Play-Doh mixed together too. I didn't like that. I would like to play with it and make mixtures of colors, but when it was time to put it away, I'd pick out like all the blue bits out of the white or whatever and put it in the separate jars again.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. Well, I looked at my, oh yeah, I had forgotten it for a second. I don't know how, but it wouldn't be the 90s without Batman. Yeah. Because, you know, all the movies that came out in the 90s, the cartoon was still ongoing. There was a resurgence in popularity with the comic books. So every ridiculous concept for Batman that you could think of, Hasbro thought of it first, or I don't know if it's Hasbro, whoever made the Batman action figures in the 90s. You want Batman with a jetpack? There you go. You want Batman with a jet ski? You want astronaut, solar flare. Like, they came out with some of the most ridiculous concepts for Batman outfits. And of course the villains too. You know, you had 30 versions of Joker and Two-Face and Catwoman. So,
and introduced Harley Quinn as part of the animated series.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. I remember watching the animated series before I saw any of the movies. And man, that was such a good series.
Yeah, I really want to go back and rewatch that. Just the whole show. It was so ahead of its time as far as like adult cartoons go that were still appealing to kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that my fourth one or my fifth one? Let's see.
I think this is going to be your fourth one.
Oh, well, no. Well, we already said Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't. That was my fourth one, and we won't go down that rabbit trail again. But my last one is a very 90s thing. And I'm almost ashamed about it because the amount of money that my parents, my grandparents, I put into these for them to just kind of be like,
Pogs.
Beanie Babies.
Fucking
Beanie Babies.
Fucking Beanie Babies.
And I have, and I'm pretty sure my parents are getting ready to put my childhood home on the market. And I'm pretty sure they still have, tubs and tubs and tubs and tubs of Beanie Babies up in the attic. But, they got so popular to mirror them after certain people, especially the little bears. Mm-hmm. Iconically, the Princess Diana bear. Mm-hmm. That's probably one of the more expensive ones, but only because there's a certain edition of the bear you have to have for it to be thousands of dollars. I had a Sammy Sosa Beanie Baby. I had a Mark McGuire Beanie Baby because that was when they were going for the world record of home runs. It was just insane. And I'm pretty sure that I know they still make, or the Thai company, it maybe not Beanie Babies specifically, but they still make plushie toys. And I mean, I used to play with them, but for a lot of the ones I had the whole regalia. I had those plexiglass little boxes you put them in. I had the tag protectors. I was all about it. It was sickening. Look at me now.
All this is making me realize is the 90s were a weird time.
Yeah. I mean, but not so, it wasn't bad for toys, though.
Oh, yeah, no, it was great for toys.
Yeah.
Well, my last two go hand in hand because when you brought up this idea, they were the first, and for a minute, the only two I thought of, just because these two were my childhood, and that they're Star Wars and Transformers, specifically Beast Wars. I still maintain that Beast Wars is one of the best cartoons of all time. I still remember the first releases of the new Optimus and Megatrons back when Optimus was a bat and Megatron was an alligator.
What?
And if you are sitting there going, no, fuck you, David, Optimus was a gorilla and Megatron was a T-Rex. No. The very first releases of those two characters, they were very tiny. They were the special kind where you just had to move one part and it transformed the whole thing. And when they were first released, Optimus was a bat and Megatron was an alligator. There's some obscure 90s trivia for you. And of course, Star Wars, you'll ask me when we're watching the movies, hey, what's that thing's name? And 9 times out of 10, I'll know it specifically because if it was on screen for more than a second or even just a second in the movies, Hasbro made a fucking action figure of it. So that's how I can tell you that the weird creature with the butt mouth that Obi-Wan cuts his arm off in the cantina, his name is Ponda Baba. Why do I know that? I don't know. Do I need to know that?
Keep calling him butt mouth.
Yeah, I mean, he has a butt mouth. What did they want him to be called?
Well, and also the Netflix series goes in depth into that whole creation of the action figure line for Star Wars, which is I found it to be very, very interesting, and very educational for somebody that's on the outside looking in, as far as I am, as you know, a lot of that is concerned, because I enjoy the movies, but you know, it's more or less like, okay, I watched it, the end, you know. I haven't read the books. Like all of these series that can be canon or not canon, or just lore, or what have you, that's way above my pay grade.
And I know that watching Star Wars with me, any of them, is just an absolute blast for you, because I can't help myself from being like, hey, that was good every time.
Well, now, like, especially now that Disney owns Star Wars, it's become more about like the cameos that we've never known who those people are, because they're a butt monster, or because they're dressed as somebody not themselves. You know, so it's always fun to watch The Mandalorian or Rogue One, or, you know, whatever. And it's like, oh my God, that was Simon Pegg, or, you know, to find out those little tidbits. That's what makes the movies fun to watch now, is because now you have celebrities that are such fans of the franchise that they want to be involved, but they want to be a stormtrooper or something like that, you know?
Daniel Craig as one of the stormtroopers, Ray Trix in Force Awakens. Tom Hardy is apparently in the trench scene at the end of Last Jedi. Just weird shit like that. Like they just show up like, hey, I want to be in this. Okay. Do you want to be seen? No, I just want to be in this.
Yeah. Just to say that, you know, you've done it. Well, I thought to round it out, I would read, only because in preparation for this prompt, I Googled the Toy Hall of Fame inductees for this year. And, you know, the National Toy Hall of Fame has anything iconic, from the Jack in the Box to Legos to Barbie, to Play-Doh, to a lot of, you know, the toys that we've already mentioned. But I thought it was very interesting that, hang on one second, I'm going to pull up the induction list, that not everything is a product of a company that has been inducted, such as, would you like to take a guess?
Oh God, I have no idea.
It's something organic, that we were probably playing with way before we even touched a toy or knew what Barbies were, or action figures.
I got nothing. What
Inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame in the year of our Lord 2008, the stick.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah, right? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, every time you went outside, you were like, oh my God, this is a sword, this is a magic wand, this is a spear, this is
A gun.
A gun. This is my, generally speaking, this could be one of your very first playthings.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, but like no love for the bucket or like the Cool Whip dish that I had to pour sand in rural Georgia. I'm not salty about that at all. But I thought that was fun. The swing is on here, the slinky, sidewalk chalk. Congratulations, got inducted this year. The rubber duck.
Aw.
The radio flyer wagon. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting topic to kind of roll around in our heads. And if we have any listeners that want to reach out and share their favorite toys or playthings, apparently, you know,
Your favorite stick.
Your favorite stick. Take a picture, send it to us. Make sure it's an organic stick from a tree, not just any stick. Apparently there are protocols about that. But what I found shocking is, like, yeah, don't send us a picture of...
I don't want any stick pics.
Yeah, your stick pics. What I found shocking was no love for the pet rock.
That is shocking and disheartening.
I hope it's on the ballot like every single year. Like, this is our year.
Yeah.
To get a pet rock.
It had better be. Nice. Yeah, if you want to tell us more about what your favorite toys were, or send us pictures of your sticks that you find in your yard.
Or if you want to battle David about Beast Wars.
Yeah, come at me, bro. You can comment on our Facebook page, search for Long Walk Podcast, or you can email me, david.longwalk@gmail.com. Katie, if people want to follow you online, where can they do that at?
You can find me on Instagram at KTB Won't Stop Believing. And I will say, send me a DM and say you're a listener of the podcast if you do choose to do that, because 9 times out of 10, if I don't recognize you by your bio or your account's private, I'm going to say I'm good. So be sure to shoot me a quick note and let me know that you're a listener, and I'd be happy to give you a follow back.
Yeah, and same thing for me. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do that at DB Hensley. If you want to keep up with more of our work, you can visit us online at longwalk.us. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/longwalkpro. And if you enjoy this show, please make sure to leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you are listening on. Thank you very much for listening.
Stay teeny.